Chrome Pipes and Pinstripes, episode 207, Drag Racing with the Stark Family. All right, folks, hello and welcome to episode 207 of Chrome Pipes and Pinstripes. I am your host, Royboy from RoyboyProductions.com. That's a website where you can find all the hot rod and custom car show photos that I take for you all over the country. Over 100,000 images, all available for purchase, from car shows, photo shoots for magazines, all kinds of fun stuff, including my 48 Cars, 48 States book from all over the country. Literally every one of the lower 48 states. Haven't made it to Alaska yet, haven't made it to Hawaii yet. Someday. We'll figure that out someday. All right, so this episode is going to be a lot of fun. I'm recording this today, the part that you're hearing right now, almost a month after I recorded the part you're going to hear in a minute with my guests. It's just been a crazy month. Medical procedures, crazy busy at work, holidays, all that fun stuff. It's just been a nightmare to try to get into this room again and to record again. So hopefully we haven't lost anything in the transition. I had a really great time talking with the whole Stark family. I've had Tom on before. He is the owner of Precision Design in Denver, Colorado. And this time we're going to bring on the rest of the family, really. I think, well, his wife might just barely stop in for a moment. But 13-year-old Blayne is his crew chief. And if you've watched any of the 1320 videos from Rocky Mountain Race Week and that kind of stuff, you'll know Blayne because he and Tom drive their Chevy Wagon and go out and run these drag and drive events and really have a great time. And then his big sister Max, she comes in for a little bit. We talk about her future drag and drive setup that she's going to be doing as well. So lots of fun on this one. I really hope you have a great time, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Tom and Blayne, how are things in Colorado this evening?
What's up, brother?
What's up?
Man, I had a lot of fun the two times I got to go see you guys on Rocky Mountain Race Week this year. And I hear that next year they're starting in Great Bend again, but maybe just doing the lap backwards. So I hopefully get to see you one of those two times as well.
It sounds like that's the deal here.
Yeah.
We got going.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I've had Tom on the podcast before. I think maybe twice. I know at least once. And, we've talked about the shop. We've talked about some of the builds that you've gotten a lot of press for over the years. We never really talked much about, and we talked a little bit about drag racing, I think, but we didn't ever talk about the race week type stuff. So what it is, first of all, let's talk about the car. It is, 2-year-old build now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 years, right?
2.
It's hard to know what year it is with that whole COVID year messing everything up. It's like, what did we do that 2 years ago? Or okay, so
we built it on the front side of COVID is when we built it. So,
so it was that Grand National that it was at, right? Grand National Roadster Show was there. Okay, so what's the drivetrain in? And first of all, what is the car? What's the drivetrain in it?
So it's a 1956 Chevy 210 4-door wagon.
Yeah,
55 actually.
What did I say?
56.
Oh, I did.
I wasn't going to correct you.
Anyways, it's got a LS 6-liter in it. Frankenstein heads. They're just ported stock LS3 heads, and then nitrous powered Holley AFI with a TKX behind a Liberty TKX behind the Black Magic clutch.
And so that car, when it was coming together, I mean, the TKX wasn't even really out yet when the car was starting to come together, was it?
No, it had a TKO 600 when it was first put together. Yeah,
man, it's a brand new technology in there, and you seem to be doing a nice little test bed for yourselves on it. It's been 2,000 miles this year alone, just in those 2 race weeks.
Or 3,000 probably.
Close to 3,000 miles.
Close to 3,000.
Yeah.
And then how many hits? Probably just in the 2 race weeks alone, you have a minimum of 10 full.
We probably have 25, 30 hits probably on it. I'd have to go back and look at our logs. But
that's a pretty good test of a transmission there, is to, let it set for 7 hours or whatever as you're doing highway speed, and then let's go make a couple really hard hits on it, and then tomorrow we have to drive a long distance again.
Yeah, with the TKL, it didn't shift very good. The TKX, and I've been working with Brad at Liberty about. This is the first faceplated unit out of that group, and so we're really one of the only test beds we have.
Yeah,
and dude, the transmission's a rock star. It kicks ass.
It went from what was it, like one second to like
1.7 seconds in shift time to like we're at like 0.6 to shift it now. So we picked up a bunch just in shifting.
Oh yeah,
it'll probably shift it a little bit faster, but we're still learning.
Yeah. What's the fastest ET for the car to date?
1009 and a buck. It's been
135.
135. But
okay, so when I saw you guys in September, I think you were right at 10.2. Somewhere in there, maybe
so
the 10.4 the night before I saw you.
The end of that week, we went 10.09.
At 133. And then
and then we've been 135 mile an hour up on up here at Mile High.
Yeah. Do you notice a lot of difference in the altitude and the performance of the car, or does the Holly pretty much take care of all the differences you need to make?
Holly takes a pretty good chunk of it, makes it pretty legit. But we just been trying to go faster no matter what. We've been 1020 up here, 1022 or something. We've been bottom 1020s up here so far. But we've had a little bit of grief up here a little bit with the tune-up and a couple things we're trying to get dialed in. So
let's go back and talk about, so we know what the car is now. We know the basics of what's in it. Had you done these race week events before this car was built, or was this car built in your first time doing it?
So we actually went a year before on 1.0 because that was all they had the year before we started doing it. And we went with Rob Brewster, one of my dad's high school buddies, and he has a 56 210 post car. So we took that. It's an NA 6-speed. Hold on. What is it?
LS.
Yeah, LS, but transmission.
T56 Magnum.
T56 Magnum. And so it's just pretty good without faceplates or anything in it. And so we did that. We went like bottom 12s. So that was pretty fun. And that's kind of what boosted. Like Dad always wanted to do race week and stuff. So when we went with Brew, it was like big jumps, and we want to do this now by ourselves.
Got that hook set deep in your cheek there and pulled you right into doing it, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So did you already have the wagon?
Yeah, we did have the wagon. Dad's owned the wagon for 15 plus years.
Okay.
And it's always been 3-speed, 3 on 3 with stock 6-cylinder. So it's always been around.
Just never really set the world on fire with the old 6-cylinder 235 and a 3 on the tree.
Yep.
I mean, so the wagon's been around the block a lot. You know, mom took kids to school in it and drove it around, and gosh, all the dirt drags and hill climb stuff, it was there. I mean, it's been to Austin, it's been to Kansas City, it's been to South Dakota, it's been to the West Coast. I mean, it's been around the block, and it was tired and time to freshen the thing up. And so we'd been gathering parts for a year prior to jamming it apart for the Roadster Show.
So when the decision was made, you're like, okay, we're going to do this race week thing. Like, oh, you know what? The wagon kind of needs some pepping up a little bit. So why don't we just do this all in the wagon? Or did you have another car in mind to do it with? Or was it just like a natural, okay, this needs done. We need something for that. Let's just pour a little cayenne pepper in this thing and make it a little spicier and go for it.
Well, really, we needed something to go to the Roadster Show that year because I didn't have anything at work. And it kind of pushed us over the hump, with gathering parts. I mean, we had enough to do that. And it just kind of turned out like, we're going to go to race week in this thing. This is something, it ain't going to be fast, but it'll run mid-12s, and it's, of course, snowballed since then.
Yeah.
First pass on race week. First day on race week, first one we did, it went like 11:66, and I was on top of the world because we were only trying to go, 12:10, 12:0.
Yeah. You just jump over it completely.
11s.
Like, okay, new goal for the week. New goal for the week is low 11s.
Well, that was our goal, was to average 11s that year, or that race, I guess. And we thought it was going to be more of a challenge than it was. And really, this whole thing started as an experiment. Like, let's go see what we can do with a stock chassis, some shocks, some Caltrax, 9-inch in it. We got all good parts in the thing. Let's go see how fast this thing will go. And we had just a little nitrous plate on it, and gosh, we were spraying like 100 or something in it, right? We weren't hardly doing much.
Probably 150-ish. But...
So,
I mean, even though you have a wagon, you still take a trailer with you when you go on the event. And I would.
Well, we just started that.
Okay. So it wasn't always a trailer for you?
It wasn't always. Yeah, we just started that this year. The good news is everything fits in the wagon. The bad news is it still all fits in the wagon.
Right.
So we have to take that stuff out. What are you doing here?
It's a lot easier to unhitch a trailer than it is to unload a wagon.
So it totally is. It's a whole lot easier to unhook the trailer and go make a run than it is to unload everything, which unloading isn't bad. It's actually loading the thing back up.
At the end of the night, you're tired. You don't want to mess with it. Yeah.
And everything is, like Lita just said, everything's yard sailed out.
Yeah, exactly.
All over the pits.
So I got to be there at the Good Springs event this year on 2.0 in September, and I got to kind of watch a little bit of the changeover. Can you describe for everybody what you change over kind of from street to strip mode?
So we got Mickey Thompson 28 9 5 no 9 yeah 9 Mickey Thompson slicks for the back, so we have to drop the shocks, and it's a big mess because it's got the still got the fenders on it. They're not cut out, and so you gotta drop the rear end, so you gotta take off the shocks, and the rear end's gotta come like halfway out of the car. It's a big mess to get the tires out and put the other ones in. And then we have removable door bars for it. And then you got to put the nitrous bottle in it. Obviously load a tune-up into Holly and
shock
adjustments. Whole assortment of things, really. Fuel system.
So the car has 2 fuel systems in it. It has a 3-gallon tank in the back that has C16 in it, and which is VP race fuel. And then we have we unplug the street fuel pump and plug in the race pump, and then we unplug the pump gas lines and plug in our race lines.
So you're physically changing lines over.
Correct.
Well, we saw the motion guys had that the horrible incident there this year when the basically a Y valve, it looked like they were using. Yeah, the handle went one way, but the ball valve inside of it didn't, and then so the engine thought it was supposed to be getting this kind of fuel. It got this kind of fuel, and it caused a lot of problems for them. So, is that just, hey, this is dummy proof? I have to unplug this and plug that in, or was it just a?
Well, we didn't really have room for ball valves, and we were trying to make it easy, so we physically have to change it so we don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because it's just us two working on the thing. So.
I was just saying, and that's the rules, right? Once you get to the track, it can only be you two working on it, right?
Correct.
Or if a third person was riding with you, could that person, if you had another person riding the back seat, could that person work on it as well? Or you just have to designate, no, it's just us two?
I bet we could probably pull that off. I don't know. It may not work that way. We may have to. I think you could only have 2.
Okay. And, most cars only have room for 2 people to ride in them when they're set up for this kind of event anyway. So it's just been such an interesting deal. I don't know if I can do it next year, but I'd love to do just the drive along version in the Galaxy, just to follow you guys along, go track. I think that's going to be the same weekend as Back to the 50s. And for work, I will have to go to St. Paul and be part of that, unfortunately. So if it works out where I could do it, I'm going to try to swing to take a week off work and go drive around the country in the Galaxy again.
I'm telling you, you need to go do that. I mean, you like car stuff, and you clearly like to travel. 24 states.
Done a
49
little,
states guy. Yeah.
Yeah, done a little road tripping, some windshield time here and there.
Just a little bit, You figure out that the seat's not so comfortable after 7 days.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was one of the things right before the trip. I had a buddy of mine was working on the car, and he pulled it in the garage. He goes, you're going to get a new seat. I said, no, man, I don't have the money for a new seat. I don't have time. He goes, no, I've got a seat getting ready to be built, and we're going to take it out of the guy's schedule. We're going to put your seat in the schedule. He's going to cut you a deal. You cannot do 2 straight months driving this car with this worn out old seat. So I got a brand new seat right before I left on the trip, and I was like, that was a lifesaver. Because if it's not comfortable for after a day, if it's not comfortable, you're ruined. And in 7 days, completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest problem we had, especially in June, was it was so hot.
Oh yeah, it was like 102 almost every day of that trip, wasn't it?
Every single day it was 100+ degrees, man. It was miserable.
Every time you felt it rain, you would roll the windows down instead of roll them
up. Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching was it Bailey? Those guys were doing the infrared thermometer deal on the outside case of the transmission. It was like 180, and there's nothing between the trans and their leg except for air. So it just was radiating heat in their cabin. I'm like, you guys, you have AC in the car, but I don't know if you had it hooked up for that week.
We did before the engine episode,
right.
And then after we didn't charge it.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So Race Week 1.0, Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0 this year starts in Great Bend, Kansas, and you show up there. Once you unload, you have the car, you have the trailer, and that's what you have. If you need to go buy parts, you can, like at a parts store or something, but you can't haul. I mean, the car has to move under its own power everywhere it has to go until it finishes the week, right?
Yeah.
You could push it, I guess, if you had to.
You can push it. I mean, that's a thing. So
if you're in the middle of the road or something, people can help you push it off the road. Other than that, nobody else is supposed to really help you, right?
Right. So we could not, when we broke the motor, we could not haul it or tow it or any of that anywhere. If we're going to move it somewhere, we have to push it, basically move it under its own power.
So that was like day 3. So the first day is at Great Bend, and then you drive out to Pueblo. You race at Pueblo, or day 4. Okay. So then you was it a drive day between Pueblo and Bandimere?
No, it was the drive day from Great Bend to Pueblo.
Okay. So
that's right.
Yep. Okay. So then you get up to Bandimere, which is your home track, 30-40 minutes from your shop on a good traffic day.
Correct.
And you end up with an engine issue. You have to swap it out. And like you said, you can't put it on the trailer and take it to the shop, even though the shop's just right there. I mean,
yeah,
literally with the altitude you're at, you could probably almost see the neighborhood your shop is in, right? I mean, it's so close. Yeah. But you had to send somebody to go get a spare engine and bring it back. And you guys, I mean, tell me a little bit about how that all happened. I mean, you come make it. Did the car make it back to the pit under its own power, or did you have to push it back?
No, I drove it back, and I knew it was missing. And Blayne was on his scooter coming down to, see what's up, because, we shut it off early. And I told him, I said, on the drive back, I said, go find head gaskets, because we're out of head gas. We burn a head gasket. And so he did, and I got back, and we started trying to figure out which hole it was. And we pulled all the plugs out, and they all came out. A couple of them were burnt. Number 8 wouldn't come out of the head, and thought, oh boy, well, there's our problem. So we pulled the right bank cylinder head off, and it was melted. Like it burned the piston, it burned the chamber, it burned the exhaust valve, it burned the runner, exhaust runner. Like, it was hot. And so a couple of the guys from work, we were all there trying to figure out, okay, so we need a motor. And we were Facebooking, Craigslist, and all the above. And then one of the guys from work is like, hey, we have that brand new LS3 and back in the corner under the pallet rack all buried. Can we use that? And So I called, that's actually a friend of mine's car that's kind of been on hold for a minute. And I called Joe. I said, Joe, we need color. And he was like, go get it. Do it. So I bought an LS3 on the spot, which wasn't planned. And we ran that all the rest of the week. So we had lots of help, lots of friends helping us.
But since you had turned a time in, they could help you work on the car, right?
Correct. So we turned in a slip. I went down and made sure we could do that while Blayne was chasing parts down. And as long as we turn in our slip, now we can get help, because it's really, you can help anybody on the side of the road if your street car is broke down, you know?
Okay.
So it wasn't that big a deal to have help after that point.
Okay.
Yep.
So this was early evening, I think, when the whole thing went down. I mean, we're watching the video. I mean, it was just, I think the lights were on at the track. It wasn't dark yet, I don't believe.
Correct. It was about 7 o'clock or so. Yeah.
Okay. 7 o'clock in June. You still have another hour or so light left. And then, and then you don't. And then you are there until what time did you finish working on the car that night?
Well, we decided, because the next day was a drive day.
A long one too, right?
Yeah, it's not just a 300-mile drive. It's almost 400 miles, I think, was that drive. And so we had decided that since we had so much time to get there, we probably better work on it tonight and get a jump start on it, because it won't be 100 degrees.
Right.
And then if we needed something, we'd have time to go get something. Right. So
we ended up needing a few things.
Yeah.
Well, really. I mean, we were done by 4:30 or so.
We needed a plug for the block so we could put water in it, and then a few just little things, I thought.
Yeah, we needed the tank cylinder went back with the jump heads. So we needed that, and then we put water in it and fired it up. So
the nice thing is you're close enough to the shop that you could, if you had to, you can send somebody for that one tool you need or something, you know.
Yep.
And you know, I was just really glad when it happened. It didn't happen in Hastings, you know, because that just would have been a nightmare to try to get it back together and make that final day drive.
Yeah, it definitely was convenient that we were home. We're at our home track to get.
If you can call having to do an engine
done.
Call an engine swap in a parking lot where you're in the middle of an event, convenient on any level. It just happened to be where it happened to you. So from Bandimere, you get the car bandaged back together, obviously not with the same engine. How was getting the tune right for that drive the next day? I mean, is there a baseline tune you can just drop in and it kind of self-learns enough to get you down the road, or did you have to build a new tune from scratch?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because we had to rewire the car because it's a 58 wheel motor and we ran a 24 wheel. So we happened to have at work a harness and a terminator sitting there for a 58 wheel. And we borrowed that harness, rewired the car that night too, and had to start from scratch on the tune-up.
All the wiring for the Holly was laying on the floor.
Okay.
We had two engine harnesses in the car for the rest of the week.
A little extra copper for the trip.
So really, Blayne had the computer on his lap for most of that drive, just dialing the thing back in.
When I wasn't sleeping. Or trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. So the next day, you've got to go from Bandimere. Well, I think if we were talking talking in between there, you said you got up in the morning, maybe ran home, took a real shower in your own, to your own house, threw some clothes in a bag, and then you came back to the track, and then you took off.
We did. So really, we went back. We went to the house. The girls were there. So Lita and Mac stayed with us all night. And when we were about done with the car, they came home and like unloaded a bunch of burned up parts,
right?
And then got some clothes, and because we had planned to come here and we were going to swap nitrous bottles and fuel and just refuel and all of that. And then we met the girls here at the house. That was about 9 o'clock maybe in the morning.
10, yeah.
And then took a shower and kind of regrouped. And
the plan was to take a nap.
My plan was to take a nap.
Right.
But Mom said that, no, we're getting back on the road, because if you take a nap now, you ain't going to wake up till tonight, and we're going to drive all night again. And it's going to,
Yep.
So we just tried to drive as far as we could, and we ended up driving the whole way and catching a lot of people. We were not the last people there.
Really?
In fact, who'd we see on the way out of the track?
Alex Taylor.
So Alex and Dennis had just showed up to the
Oh yeah, because she was trying to get the car ready to run the week, I think, right? And then they ran out of time, so they're like, okay, we're not going to be competitive, but we're going to at least go.
They shook the thing down and did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. That was cool to see. I mean, because that car is really cool, especially watching it come together on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
But I mean, that day you went all the way up to Estes, I think. I mean, you took that peak to peak highway we do after the Hot Rod Hill climb.
Yep.
You go to Estes, and then you start heading out. I mean, I imagine of the entire week, that drive was probably the most pleasant because it wasn't 103, 105, whatever. It
wasn't bad in the mountains, but that was the hardest part for me to stay awake at. I was so tired. And I don't know if it's because of the stress level of you cannot fall asleep when you're mountain driving. That's bad.
Right, yeah. Now, you really can't fall asleep anywhere while you're driving, but especially
yeah, well, that's for sure.
So I mean, how far away are you from him having his license so he could take over driving duties for a little bit here?
Well, at some point, it doesn't matter. I mean, we had kind of talked about you may have to drive this thing for a while. I don't know, but it ended up where we got through.
I swear, officer, I am almost old enough.
You would rather me be driving than
Has he been drinking? No, he just needs to sleep.
Yeah. You want to jump in here with us? Yeah. Michaela's sitting here next to us. She can jump in here with us.
Oh, cool. Hey, Mac.
I don't know where Mom's at. Mom talked about coming in too, but she's not here now.
So you guys, you're doing this whole deal, and the ladies are following you along in the truck, right? It was a square body C10 I saw.
Yep, my little square body. Yep.
Yeah, little C10. He just got that I don't know, maybe a month ago.
A month before?
Yeah, a month before. And we were kind of running out of ideas to take, and we're like, that'd be fun to take. We just got it. We don't know how it drives. He'd been driving it before, back and forth to work. So, I mean, we kind of knew.
It's brand new. Let's do 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like at all.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So we'd been planning because having me drive too. I just got my permit in February. So I was kind of just prepared to drive that whole thing behind him.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it wasn't the most fun trip I drove.
Were you doing the official drive week then while they were doing race week? Or we just kind of follow along? Okay. We're going to mix the two stories together since everybody's here. What is drive week like? I mean, you basically have all the same things that the guys have, except there's no racing. So there's no changeover. There's no change back, but you still have to put all the miles down. So you have to do all the checkpoints.
It's a lot easier version of race week.
Right.
It's the good starting point. We had air conditioning. The AC in that little truck was the best. I got cold even. And I'm sorry to say that, guys. Sorry.
Terrible.
But it's not like a fun road trip you would take it per se.
Right.
Just like race week, but I definitely say it's a lot different from actually doing it. But it's a good starting point. And I think as a kid and wanting to be a part of it, it was really fun to be there and see everybody and see what happens and be at the track doing stuff and not having to work on it or having to stress about it instead of doing it yourself. But it was a good learning point for me too, just to watch.
And for the guys, I mean, if you break down the side of the road, all of a sudden I now have a vehicle to go get some parts with.
Exactly.
Well, not really. So
really?
That's a big rule thing.
Okay.
So what was happening is the faster guys, which I guess would be us, we've been learning that we're a faster guy.
Okay.
They're having people follow along, so they had a vehicle to do that with.
Oh.
That's actually against the rules.
Okay.
So the road weekers can help one time the whole week. Other than that, they cannot help.
Okay.
So you kind of see where this whole thing's heading. Like the crew guys can be on road week and follow along. And when we're broke down, we have help. So that is not allowed. And there was a big thing brought up about that.
They can make a rule and do it kind of like the guys from Cletus, Garrett's channel. Oh, the car broke. Well, let's go buy this couple $1,000 crap box and follow you along. And they just had just as many problems as some of the race cars had.
Yeah. So that's pretty fun, but it was fun to have them along with.
Oh, yeah. Do it as
we treat it like a family thing. We try to all do it together.
Well, you guys drag race as a family. So getting to do that whole trip as a family is pretty awesome too. And the fact that the ladies got to drive something cool and not just some, boring car makes it even better.
Yeah, for sure it is. Yep.
So you guys are, in a wagon. You're starting to get pretty close to that single digit pass. Are you thinking that's an attainable goal in the next year? Next couple of years?
Well, we're pretty sure the combo should be able to average like 950s, because it gets down like going 1009 in Tulsa or Noble.
Yeah.
That was like, it'll do it. That was only 300, and we have 2 kids that can spray 500 and 450. I'm pretty sure. So we're not even pushing on it right now, and it went 1009. So it'll go 950s.
Okay.
Easily.
So you maybe change classes at some point, because weren't you running a 10-0 class before? Or did I understand that right?
No, we've always run a stick shift or hot rod
class. Okay, that's right.
Yep.
There are timed classes, but you were not in one of them. Okay.
Yeah. No, we've always run the heads up stuff, the fastest guy wins type of thing. So, which is a stick shift and hot rod and gasser. I mean, there's several of them that way.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've got the one car that you're pretty close. I mean, 10 seconds is fast, but for some reason, any 9 seems worlds faster than a 10-0 for some reason. So it's no small effort to get to that point. And then now you've got another vehicle driving on drive week. Is there any thought to like, okay, maybe in 5 or 6 years, we're going to have 2, maybe 2 of you in one car, 2 of you in another car, both competitive?
So that's underway right now.
No. Oh, this was not planned to talk about. I just kind of made the question up. So, okay. All right, here we go.
It's totally underway right now.
So the first part of June, when we first started driving, I got my permit and credit card. We had kind of planned, like, I didn't get on it fast enough. I take my car in June for me and Mom to drive. That's why that was kind of the last minute thing. But I'm building my car right now, a 93 Fox body. We have a stock block, trick flow heads, and we have a one side for it. I don't think to have that by like 1.0 in June this year. And I'll have my license by then, and we could all be traveling along.
1.0 already passed this year. Be next year.
But, yeah.
Somebody's being a little specific there. So probably not by the next 1.0, the one they're starting in Great Bend, but maybe by 2.0. That's cool. I know having the engine issue means you had to get the engine repaired and ready for 2.0. And we talked a little bit when we were at the track about, some of these parts are really hard to come by right now. Are you finding the same problem with working on the Fox body? Just some of that stuff's just kind of unobtainium, or are you getting feeling lucky about how you're getting stuff?
I haven't done too much to it. I just didn't have the motivation like they did on the wagon.
Yeah.
And we when we first got the Fox body, it was all put together and it ran very bad. Like terribly.
Yeah, not very good.
And we took it apart and we found like the guys who had been making it into a race car, or they had been trying to, had put everything in backwards. Like I don't even remember everything that happened, but like it was all just like they didn't know what they were doing, obviously. So we took that all apart. Well, I did. And we sent it to Troy Kaiser, and he put that back together for us and kept us updated. And we got it back. And I have that sitting in the garage, but I haven't been motivated to work on the car yet. I'm going to paint the engine bay and put the engine in there. So
you're going to wait till it's nice and cold out in Colorado to go work on the car?
Yeah, apparently.
I know, same problem.
Well, what turns out when we bought this car, it had been put together a long time ago, but the valve angle and the heads had been machined at the wrong angle.
Oh.
And so one whole cylinder head was just wrong. And so what looked like these guys didn't know what they were doing is they were just doing what they thought was right. And turns out when we got it apart, like there's a problem with the cylinder heads. We had to buy another set of cylinder heads because they were just wrong. So,
okay.
So it's a 331 now with trick flow heads with a Vortec S trim in it. It'll have a TKO out of the wagon in it. So it's still a stick shift car. And it's, an 8.8 and stuff in the back. But it should be a fun little 11-second car for her to drive.
Nice.
I'm not going to let it be 11s. I'm going to push it to 10s and then
okay. All right.
You can put a roll bar in it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love the drive she has.
Yeah, well, I love the little smack talk between the two of them because in about 5 years there'll be 3 cars out there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm sure his car will probably be faster than mine, but mine's meant to be like my daily driver.
Okay.
Like I'm going to be driving that back.
56. Needless to say, the 56 she'll be a street car, but not like drive it every day to work.
Well, and that's been a big argument.
You can drive it every day to work, but it won't be. It's going to be a little bit more race car than street car.
Yeah, and then you'll see like Tom Bailey will hop in 6 seconds and take it out and go get drive through or something. I mean, there's a lot of people that complain like these aren't street cars. I'm like, well, any car that can do 1,000 miles in a week passes my test for street car. I mean, if it's street legal where it's tagged and it can do 1,000 miles on the highway in a week. There's times when my 63 doesn't do 1,000, couldn't do 1,000 miles in a week. There's
for sure.
Old car, anybody's classic couldn't necessarily do that. So I think you earn street car status by being able to complete one of those weeks, and then to be able to complete it and also be competitive. I guess there's a lot of people just like to complain about anything. So these are street cars. So whether or not you drive it every day is a different story,
And the thing is that they're not doing it. And so if they were to do it and they were going as fast as that he was or we are, they'd be like, oh yeah, my car's a street car. But since we're doing it, they're like, no, those aren't street cars. Those aren't street cars.
Right. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, setting up the computer at your mom's house. It's on a street car. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. There surely is keyboard warriors. But
enjoy your Pop-Tarts. We're out here racing.
We're out doing it. That's what's fun about it is we're out doing it. So
for the foreseeable future, you guys are going to try to hit all the Rocky Mountain Race Week events. Have you ever done any of the drag week events, the Hot Rod Drag Week?
So Alita and I, in the very first Pump Gas Drags, which was prior to Drag Week, we had my 56 entered in that. Somehow we were trying to discuss why we didn't go because we had gotten chosen for that. And ever since then, we wanted to go to a drag week, but let's face it, it was time in our life where we just couldn't afford to go do that, let alone race a weekend, let alone race a whole week.
Yeah.
And then take a week off of work to do that,
Well, some of these guys, when the weeks are back to back, some of these guys are doing, there were 2 or 3 people that did 2 and 2 weeks this fall.
Yeah.
And then somebody else was talking about I don't know what it was. The bunch of guys did the Midwest one, and then they came and did 1.0, and then in the fall there was Drag Week, and then immediately after that was Rocky Mountain Race Week. I mean, that's a lot of commitment.
There were several that actually did that.
Okay,
Alex Dennis did that.
Oh,
Didn't Rich Guido do that? I think he did that. He came down from Canada and did that.
I think he did Drag Week.
And
the guy that drove the Camaro from New York, right?
Yep, that's our friend Steve.
Yeah,
which is a super cool dude. He did that by himself.
That's what I was. Yeah, I remember you telling me stories like.
Yeah.
Not only did that by himself, but he didn't trailer the car to the start and he
correct.
drove
from New York. to Michigan, did all of drag week, drove from Michigan, Martin, Michigan to Noble by himself and did all of race week and then drove home. And I think that car went like 950s or 920s.
Yeah, it's no slouch.
When he got home, like it is no joke. Yeah, well, that guy is legit for sure.
And so I see that Bailey's got the sick week now set up. Is there any thought to going and doing that?
We are registered.
Oh, and that's down Florida, Gulf Coast area.
I
didn't
Florida.
Look at the locations yet, right?
Yep, that's in Florida, and we're all looking forward to that. So
yeah,
that's in February.
I mean, that's coming up. It'll be here before you know it.
So we had to kind of rearrange how our winters go. Normally wintertime is for rebuilding cars and fixing stuff, and so the wagon is actually all apart right now.
The motor is out of it. Checked the bearings last night. The heads went to get valves put in them and get looked over, and the pistons are just getting looked at, and then the rest of the car's getting cleaned.
Well, and the clutch is out at the clutch shop, and the transmission is at Liberty. The rear end just got back from Mark Williams. Like, we just going through and fresh everything up.
Everything that you would be doing in a course of, 5 or 6 months is getting done in one.
Right.
Yeah.
And at a time that supply chain issues are crazy bad for just about every part of the industry too. I mean,
well, we don't really have anything that's broke per se. We're just trying to keep ahead of the broken curve.
Right.
We can't afford to fix it again like that.
Right. Well, and if you inspect it often, hopefully you can catch stuff before it gets bad.
We generally do that in between race weeks and such. We do a lot of that is just take it apart and look at things and figure it out. Inspect the thing, the clutch and transmission. And we do a lot of that stuff in between races. So just preventive maintenance, if you will.
And it just dawned on me, if it's in February, I mean, people don't understand, just because it's in the South in February doesn't mean it's going to be warm.
Right.
So these guys can run without AC. And I mean, a hot day, you can, you can sweat it out. But when it gets cold, it'll be interesting to see how the cars behave on the road, how the cars behave racing wise, because most of them don't race very often when it's cold out. So, I mean, the track temperature is going to be down. I mean, air temperature, obviously, the engine's going to run a little differently. Of course, you're going to be, at 200-foot elevation at the highest, probably?
Yeah, I guess.
Low.
Elevation, I guess, is good. Air is really good at that time of year, I guess, there. And we're all looking forward to seeing how things run where there's real altitude,
The wagon should get down.
I would say, do you have the heater hooked up?
Yeah. We might hook it up, actually, because it's not hooked up.
Yeah, that might be just, just in case.
Stuff's there to do it, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, throw a big alternator on there and put a plug-in heater deal. I bet you by the end of that week, there'll be some guys going, I could put a 300 amp alternator on for the drive time and just put some electric heater in the car. But I can't wait to see all the stories that come back from that. And so people can follow along on Blayne's on Instagram and on YouTube. Is the whole family's going, I'm guessing. Are any of the rest of you going to be doing any social media stuff of documenting the week for people?
Yeah, so Mom runs a camera a lot when because Blayne helps me stage the car and turn the nitrous bottle on and line it up in the groove, and we analyze the racetrack and everything together and try to make good decisions. And so he'll take video of the car running, but we kind of have to switch it up a little because we're trying to capture what's actually happening too in the moment, just so we can share it, because this is fun, So Sissy's up on the starting line with us, and Mom's up there first, and we're all having a great time. It really, to capture it all, it takes all of us. And we're trying to channel all that through the YouTube channel and our social media stuff. So it's been a lot of fun.
And another fun part is there's a bunch of people that are on these event weeks that they really are great at social media. So you can go to someone like Alex and be like, hey, what are you doing here that helps get people to see what you're doing? Because I mean, in the end, you want to show people what you've gone through, but I'm sure you also want to show people, hey, you can do this too. And the best way to do that is to share compelling stories of how it happened for you. But you've got, I mean, the 1320 video guys, you've got Alex Taylor, you've got Cleves McFarland channel. I mean, there's a ton of people out there who have a lot of experience in the social media world that's helps bring more fans, I think, to the whole scene. So I mean, is it ever, do you ever have a minute to be like, hey, can you show me how to do this, or tell me what you do here? Or is it always like, as you're driving the next event, I go, oh man, I should have asked him that last night, but we were all too busy and blah, blah, blah. I mean, how do you balance that? Because it's probably really helpful to have their knowledge base to be able to pull from.
So Blayne actually spent a week at Motion Raceworks with
I saw that.
Crew.
He was the kind of employee.
Yeah, he didn't work there.
Right. That's right. He doesn't work here.
So tell him about your week there.
So we went out there and I spent like 4 or 5 days out there. The first day was kind of, well, we got picked up from the airport and then Motion was closed, and so we just kind of went to Doug's house and just kind of chilled for a little bit, and then the next day we woke up and went to work.
Oh, I'm losing your audio again.
Yeah, it's like,
lean in a little bit on there.
so it's like,
there you go.
We went in about 7 or 8 o'clock, and I don't remember what I did that day, but I'm pretty sure we worked on some CAD stuff and designed a little bit of it designed a part that they just dropped a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And then the second half of the day was, I'm trying to think here, maybe, it was machining parts. And so that was like, they have those big machines and there's like, I think there's like 9 of them now.
Yeah.
And so it was, they kind of learned about the trade, taught me about the trades.
It's kind of amazing when they're machining something in a block of aluminum, yay big, how much excess gets peeled away there, that little sliver at a time when they're cutting a piece out. I mean, it's truckloads, but it starts out as just these cubes like 18 inches square or 12 inches square or whatever.
Yeah, they cut it down. They have a bandsaw and they cut it all down into the shapes they need that are small or big or whatever size they need it to be for like their throttle bodies, throttle body cams and all that crazy stuff, because they make all that in house. So it's really cool just to experience what it is.
What was your favorite part of being there?
I learned a little bit more about welding, but that probably wasn't my favorite part. I think my favorite part was probably learning about like machines.
Cool.
And so the big part of that was they did a bunch of social media work with him. That's where I was trying to get him to head.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of this YouTube stuff is. Like they taught him a lot of, this is how we do this is how we do that, right? And got him kind of on the programs to help edit the video and some of that. So really that's helped push us into the YouTube direction.
And I've been watching the videos. I've been watching videos from 2.0. The one thing I can say to you is the same thing I have to say to myself: be merciless in that edit. Don't be tied to any footage that you don't just necessarily need to tell the story, because the more you can make it concise and still tell the story, the better chance you have of somebody making it to the end of the video. I've definitely had that issue on mine where the first cut of one of my videos was 27 minutes long, and I think I've got it down to 8 now. and then when I first did it, I was like, oh man, I need all 27 minutes. It's all gold. And then you sit back and you watch it again later, like, oh yeah, I could have shaved this whole part out and I could probably tighten this guy up. So just, keep at it. All you can do is keep practicing and you'll get better and better. And I'm going to show you, go back and look at the original videos on the Cletus channel versus what they do now. I mean, a whole world of difference. I keep bringing him up, but he's one of the biggest names in our sphere as far as YouTube stuff goes. I mean, because their follower count is numbers that people would. I mean, CNN doesn't get those kind of viewers, and this is a silly channel about jet boats and drag cars.
I guess I never compared it to CNN. Is that really? Is that a true number?
Yeah. Modern TV viewership is nowhere near what some of these guys, like Joe Rogan's podcast. I mean, you're talking, I want to say they get 9 million downloads an episode. And
wow,
CNN, Fox, CBS, all those channels, if they had 9 million people watching at one time today, they'd all go buy new yachts. In the 90s, 9 million people was like, man, we only had 9 million. But yeah, right now, social media, like YouTube type channels are just killing it as far as attention span, eyeballs, and stuff like that. So it's the great thing is we've lost all of the gatekeepers, which means that anybody can make compelling videos and share with people. The bad part is there's a lot of people who shouldn't be because they're just not very good at it.
Right. Yeah.
And I love that you guys are sharing what you go through on that week and all the the Instagram live videos and stuff like that. It's great, and I've really been enjoying it. And I want to just say thank you and keep it up.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, the live videos are something that Mom actually started doing while we were doing it, and it's I guess it's pretty fun that people get to follow along with us.
Except when I'm there and I have to slide out of the shot because I don't want to see myself on it later. Oh, there she is. I'm just going to turn and walk over here. That was the night that you had a little oil leak and things got a little heated on the big end.
It was a little, we had a little fire that got my attention in a hurry.
Yeah.
Arc City is an awesome place. I love that place. And they just didn't have some safety guys in the right spots. And it almost got us.
Yeah.
Well, luckily we got the fire out and
luckily you had those two water bottles in the car, right?
Yeah, that was lucky. I thought I was going to watch my car burn to the ground right there.
Okay, we're going to install some cup holders here, so we always have 2 water bottles right here.
Well, there's a fire system on board now, so
okay,
we won't have any of that anymore, or at least to that level.
I've been watching a lot of Bailey's stuff talking about his fire systems. It's been really intriguing figuring out because I didn't realize it was so in depth and involved and.
So the fire system's been in that car. The mounts and everything are there. I had the wrong fire bottle or cable for the bottle or something, and I thought, well, it's just gonna have to wait. And it luckily we got out unscathed, really.
Yeah.
But it will be in there now. I mean, it's a nitrous car. It's gonna backfire, and that's what we were preparing it for. But I honestly didn't ever think of a header fire. I just didn't think of having an oil leak on a header fire. And I mean, let's face it, fires happen. You just got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to be better prepared for it now.
Well, it's good to go through these things in little phases so you can catch them before, just like the maintenance issues, catch it before it gets big. And then a few years down the road, hopefully you've got all the ducks in a row. So if you have one of these 2 in a car, you just feel a lot more confident about all the safety systems in place.
It is. We've
never take all the risk out, but
we've had a couple minor backfires and some little fires since then, and learning how to manage that in the car is a thing. Like your mind gets flowing real fast. That I had one that I thought was getting really exciting really fast, and it was here locally, and my mind was just rapidly thinking, get it stopped, leave all your safety gear on, don't mess with the nitrous bottle, just get out of this thing. It's burning, get out.
Right.
And so I'm dropping the window net and getting out of this thing. And luckily it had snuffed itself out. It had just sneezed through the air cleaner and made more smoke than really flames. And we've learned that we'd run the air cleaner on it. I have that closed air cleaner on it. That's open on the bottom. And that really contained it. From getting, catching an oil fire or the diaper fire and all of that. So we're learning how to manage some of that stuff as it goes. But fire, I don't like fire at all. That scares me.
Keep it in the cylinder.
Yeah, keep it contained. I like contained fire. Yeah,
exactly. All right. Well, I've kept you guys on here long enough. Blayne, go ahead and tell everybody what your Instagram and your YouTube channels are.
So my Instagram and my YouTube are both the same. So Blayne's Therapy on YouTube and Instagram. So
Okay.
Michaela's tracking too.
Okay.
So what's yours?
My Instagram is Max Attack, MACS Attack.
Okay.
And I just post stuff about my fox body on there.
Cool. I haven't been following. I'll have to add that. So I'll have those. I know where audio has been kind of cutting in and out here for the people listening. I'll have those in the show notes for this episode. This is episode 207. So you should be able to go to royboyproductions.com/207 and get to all that. Of course, we'll put links in for Precision Design and maybe some of the other episodes that we've already talked on before. And just
cool.
Keep doing what you guys are doing. It is awesome to get to see you at those events. And I know you're busy, so I kind of just stand around and be like, okay, well, I'm here for support, even though I can't really do anything. Just just here to watch and to cheer you on and take in the whole vibe of it. So hopefully next time I get to do the drive week, we'll see if we can somehow arrange that week off right in a busy time of the year.
Well, it's always good to see you, Travis, and I'm excited to see you. But unfortunately, it's like we got to get racing, And
oh yeah,
so we try to catch up as much as we can. And I'm so excited to have you along and support from you guys, yourself and everybody that listens is. It helps. We don't do this for the support. The support is like, wow, people are really interested in what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's fun to know that. People like what we're doing and we're doing it whether everybody likes watching us or not. So
right.
I've been told that's what the magic is that we're just out having fun.
Yes.
For the sake of having fun and not doing it to create content.
Yeah. If you can have fun and capture it, that's way more compelling when you do post it somewhere than somebody who's forcing it,
Yeah.
And I right a minute ago, I just remembered Vanessa said to say hi to everybody, so she'll listen to this later.
We
she'll
miss
know
seeing
that I
her
did it.
for sure. So tell her that we all said hi as well.
I will. She, I tell her it's like most of the time I won't mention your name and stuff, but there's times like this, it's kind of just fits in and it makes me laugh because she'll listen to it later and she'll blush while she's at work. So that'll all work out fine.
That's awesome.
All right. Well,
awesome.
You all have a great evening. And I'll keep you informed of the next time we're coming up to Colorado. Definitely hope we can find time to grab a bite to eat or something, or at least just swing by and say hi, if nothing else. And let me know if you're coming back down through Kansas way. Now I'm not up in Salina like you used to be, so I'm a little further off I-70 when you go see family. But if you end up in the Wichita area, let me know. And
we'll do that. And you guys come this way. We got a spare bedroom for you. So
all right. I know we're going to definitely come.
Holler.
We're going to come through in January because we're going to head out to Woody from the Salt Lake City Throttlers, Woody Bears place, Flaming Gorge Resort, and we're going to go to the snow rally. So it's a bunch of flathead and banger power cars doing an autocross in snow. Actually, last year it turned into a mud rally because the snow went away at the end of the day, and everybody just coated in mud at the end of it. But yeah, we're planning on doing that. So maybe we can stop by and say hi at least as we're going through Denver area at those times. But you guys keep doing what you're doing, and when it's time to do the sick week, let me know, and I'll try to post some links so people can go follow you on social media and kind of keep up with how that thing goes too.
Awesome, yeah, that'd be great, man. It's fun to have everybody along watching and we'll try to do our best to keep everybody updated on what's going on. And we'll definitely try to do some more live feed stuff at the racetrack. And we're trying to figure out how to manage that. And
it's always helpful to track has cell service,
Well, that is a thing. Yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah, they're not always in the most well-covered areas.
Yeah, it got us to Noble a little bit.
Yeah.
Reception there wasn't very great, but
iffy. So go ahead and stay on the line here, but I'll end the recording for the podcast, folks. I want to talk to you a little bit more after we get off here. So thanks again for everybody being on. And like I said, I'll go to the show notes and I'll put links to all the appropriate places online. And you guys just have yourselves a great evening.
Thanks, Travis. We appreciate you having us on.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Like I said, that was a lot of fun talking to those guys. I just miss that family so much when I don't get to hang out with them very often. So it was really cool when they're doing the drag and drive events that they're it's close enough I can go check them out. I mean, this year, I should say in 2022, they're going to start and end in Great Bend, Kansas, like they did in 2021. And I'll be out of state for the start of the event, but I should be back in time to go catch the end of the event. So it'll be a lot of fun to go out there and see how fast they can turn the wick, or how high they can turn the wick up on that wagon, and see how how fast I can go. I mean, they're knocking on the door of 9s right now. They're right there with the last race I saw them go. So that'll be a lot of fun. So what's been going on? This last month has been nutty. I went down to Pistons and Paint, had a really good time. My buddy Cody and I hopped in the Daily Driver and drove down. And literally, we left Wichita at 6 in the morning, and we went to Texas. Went to the car show, had a great time. Saw tons and tons of people. Grabbed a little In-N-Out burger, and then jetted back north. We're back in Wichita by 10 o'clock that night. Round trip, 700 miles, because it was cheaper than buying a hotel room. And drove the Daily because it's cheaper than driving the Galaxy, and it meant I could go to the show, And then a couple weeks later, we did the Hobo Happening show in Douglas, Kansas, which normally, I've been there when it's like 65, 75 cars, and this time was over 220 somewhere. I think I've heard 225. That's a lot of cars for this little town. In fact, we were pushing the barriers out further and further. As more cars showed up during the morning, and I don't know, had a really good time. Got to take the Galaxy out to that and see some folks, and really enjoyed hanging out with a lot of the old timers, my old timer buddies here from Wichita, Kansas. So let's see, that's really about all that's going on. Of course, Thanksgiving here in the States is a big deal. That was about a week ago as I'm recording this, and really had a lot of fun with family and all that stuff. That's about it. I haven't been doing too much. And this coming weekend, as I'm recording this, is the December run. December 4th is a December run. I'm recording this on the 2nd. It's looking like it'll be like mid-50s for the temperature for the day. It's really going to be a good day. We're going to run about 2.5, 3 hour, I think, run total. And we're going to go visit a couple small restaurants in Kansas, and we'll start at one, we'll go to another, we'll end up at Affordable Street Rods. We'll see some scenery along the way. It'll just be a good day out driving old cars. After that, the next thing that's going on is the Lonely Nights Christmas party will be happening. So I'll be up in Colorado Springs with all the Hot Rod Custom Car Show family there, all the Colorado guys, I should say, the Southern Colorado guys. And then I'm already making plans to be at the 2022 Grand National Roadster Show. So as long as things don't get crazy and get shut down again or some crazy silliness, or I would say that it's never gonna happen. But after the way the last 2 years have gone, who knows what's gonna happen? We've got our airline, our flights booked. We've got the hotel booked, and it's really looking to be a fun time hanging out with good friends. It's gonna be a little weird because California is just so weird with, you've got to show your vaccination passport to get in. Okay, fine, whatever. And we'll have to wear masks everywhere. It's gonna be like going back in time for a Kansas boy. It's gonna be like going back in time for over a year ago to go to California. So it's gonna be a little bit weird. I'm just realizing that my camera is a little bit blurry, but fine. I'm a little bit fuzzy, so it's probably having a hard time focusing on me. And of course, you guys listen to the podcast going, what is he talking about, camera? Yeah, this is going to be available as a video. I've got to get some other videos put together and posted up, but I'm doing these podcasts all as videos and putting them out on my YouTube channel as well, trying to, just give people another way to enjoy the podcast and actually get to see the people that I talk to. In fact, this whole thing was all shot in video, and I have another one lined up next week with another guest who's actually no stranger to video himself. He's been basically on TV for the better part of the last 20 years, if not longer, talking about hot rods and customs and other vehicles and all kinds of fun. So that's a little teaser for the next one. So anyways, Grand National Roadster Show coming up in January. We're also going to be in January heading out to the snow rally in Utah. We're going to head out there. It's going to be a ridiculously long drive for the amount of time we get to spend at the event. But the people that are there and the event itself are worth the 24 hours of driving it's going to take to get there. And people go, well, why don't you just fly? If I flew there, I'd end up spending about 9.5, 10 hours each way because the event to the closest major airport is 3.5 hours. And by the time you fly from Wichita to Denver, and then you have a layover, and then you catch a second flight to Salt Lake City, and then you drive 3.5 hours, you're going to spend a couple $100 on flights and to spend a couple $100 on a rental car. Why not just drive your own car and be there in a day? It takes the same amount of time realistically to get there. You don't have to put your car in parking for over a weekend. You don't have to buy airline tickets. You don't have to pay for a rental car. You know, I just would rather drive than to deal with all of that nonsense, you know. So we're going to go out and have fun at the snow rally. That's President's Day weekend at the Flaming Gorge Resort out in the beautiful northeastern Utah, or I guess eastern Utah. It's not really the north part. You know, Utah's like an L shape. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it. Flaming Gorge Reservoir. It's right there. Go there. Dutch John, Utah is the name of the town, I believe, that's closest. So we're going to have a great time doing that. And then once you get into February, I mean, you got Starboard Show in Tulsa. You've got the Hot Rod Showdown going down in Texas. Both shows, as of right now, are scheduled and booked for me, and I can't wait to go see a ton of people I know and hang out. I don't know if I've mentioned this on this podcast. It's been so long since I did one, I don't remember. The new calendars are out, and they're selling really quickly. I think I only have like 60 copies left, and I don't plan on printing anymore. So get in there, get one now if you can. RoyboyProductions.com, hit that store icon, and you can go right there. And if there's any left, you can get some for yourself or for somebody you love for Christmas. And this is the coolest calendar you're going to find Hot Rod Custom-wise, even non-Hot Rod Custom-wise, because there's 2 pictures for every month, not just one boring picture. 1 picture per month is passé. That's Grandpa's old calendar. Most of Grandpa's stuff was cooler than the stuff we have now, but that's not, think about that. That's an old, outdated way of doing a calendar. These calendars have 2 cool pictures per month. That's better. That's twice as much awesome, and that's why you need one. So you need to get one for yourself, and from everybody you have in your life that's a car person, get them plenty of calendars. That's how we roll here at Royboy Productions. RoyboyProductions.com, and then hit the store icon. It's the very first item, the 2022 Royboy calendars. I don't really have much to rant about this month or this episode. I've been doing a little too much ranting probably, and we're just going to call it there. The next episode we're going to hopefully have out here in just a couple weeks, just in time for Christmas, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This guest is going to be a great time. I'm going to make sure all you folks, know that I appreciate everybody who's been checking in on me. I really do. I've got a surgery on the 14th of December to cut some kidney stones out, and I'll be out of commission for a week after that, and I should be all good to go there. So, just in time for my deductible to reset, I'll have used up all my health insurance deductible. It's great planning on my part, really. That's really it. You guys have yourselves a great time. And I hope you get to spend some time with your loved ones in this holiday season, whatever the holiday is that you celebrate. And I hope you get a chance to get out there and drive your cars just one more time before the snow really flies. We'll see you at a show. That's not the way to end this. I said, stay safe, don't die, and I'll see you at a show. There we go. Later. Thanks for listening to another episode of Chrome Pipes and Pinstripes. If you got to this point, that means you listened to the whole show, and I appreciate that. So I want to throw one thing out here. If you dig what I do with these podcasts, you dig what I do with RoyboyProductions.com, please consider going over to Patreon.com/RoyboyProductions. Patreon.com/RoyboyProductions. That's where, if you feel like it, you can say, hey, you know what? I'll throw Royboy $1 a month, or $5 a month, or $10 a month, because I appreciate what he does. Talking about myself in the third person sounds really weird. So, forgive me for all the weirdness here. If you dig what I do, please come over here and help support what I do, because it takes a lot of money to go to these events, to stay in the hotels, to buy this expensive equipment. All of my equipment is getting pretty old. So the podcast recorder right now is held together with just prayer I think that's the only thing making it continue to work. And I will need to buy a new one at some point this year, and they're quite pricey. So I'm not trying to complain, just saying thank you for all the people who have helped me over the years by buying hats and shirts and stuff. I'll have new shirts out this year. And in the meantime, you can go over to royboyproductions.com, check out all the stuff I have there. If you feel like throwing a couple dollars a month at me, I really would appreciate it. It's patreon.com/royboyproductions. And I'll work out some stuff that the people who donate there get a little bit of heads up and get some stuff ahead of time. All right. Thanks for listening. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye now. Well, somebody's got to ride this dinosaur.